He's caught over 800 10-pound-plus largemouth bass, holder of 13 worldwide patents, and inventor of the weedless trolling motor prop. Doug Hannon is the Bass Professor.
We've continued to stress the importance of shallow water in fishing, and when in shallow water, a quiet approach is paramount to your success. Whether it's bass, a big school of redfish, bonefish, permit, or even a giant school of tarpon moving up on the flat, remember that these fish are spooky. Bass are no different when they move into skinny water. They're spooky because they don't feel like they have a place to hide, and they don't have the security of nearby deep water. Shallow water is important to fish for several reasons. The most obvious one is that it's closer to the surface and it's closer to the source of food that's terrestrial. But there are several other reasons that shallow water is important as well. The shallows tend to have the most vegetation, and that's very important, as we all know, for bass. And this vegetation gets more sunlight in the shallows and oxygenates the water and makes the food chain more productive in those areas of the lake or river. To see the true importance of shallow water to bass, we should look at what shallow water means to other fish as well. Water that might be considered shallow to a 200-pound tarpon may be deep to a 10-pound bass. When carried to extremes, we find billfish like sailfish and marlin considering shallow water to be 150 feet deep because it's actually a mountain ridge underwater that rises out of, say, 2,000-foot depths. But these fish are still feeding up and actually are caught on the surface. When it comes to largemouth bass, shallow water to them would be considered shallow to any fish. Many times I have to go way back up into the shallowest weed beds in a foot or less of water in order to find a good school of large bass. If you've enjoyed today's edition as much as I have being here for you, then don't forget, click on that button and send this to a friend.